Hello, everyone. Today I did a search on the internet for arrogance, classism, and elitism or narcissism. And I literally broke the internet. There was not a single search result. And I'm here to tell you that all of these institutions of our society, uh, upper class, middle class, lower class, okay, all of this snobbishness, it's all narcissism. Whenever someone finds a way to be superior, whether it's through wealth, status, beauty, fashion, morality, because if you're not wealthy, you can't be fashionable. You can't achieve status through wealth and fashion. If you're not beautiful, if you're not born into wealth and status, if you can't attain it in any other way, like most people in our society, what you will then do, especially as you get older and your beauty fades, and you become frumpy, and you didn't marry into wealth, you weren't able to hypergamously marry into status and wealth, you can't afford the fashions, you will become morally superior. You'll become religious. And really, morals are just made up ways to be superior. Oh, well, they're sexually promiscuous, so I'm superior because I'm married and I'm faithful. Well, our species is not monogamous, and no primate species is, and very few mammals are. So that's just the narcissist will take whatever they don't have and they'll judge other people out of pathological envy. And then what they do have, they will glorify it as a virtue. So if they have poverty, they will villainize the rich. If they have a modest existence, then they're going to villainize the fashionable and the high. If they have no status in society, they're going to villainize those who are high end. Nietzsche talked a lot about these kinds of things, and people call him an elitist. Um, Possibly, okay. But I think he had a good point that the clergy are trying to bring down the wealthy and the powerful by villainizing wealth and status. Yeah, in his time, and this was a real thing, and I think he had a point there. But my point is, people will always find a way to be superior, uh, because narcissism is pervasive in our society because domesticated animals have arrested development. Humans are domesticated. We are stuck in the default mode network. We are infantile, which is what you see in the Matrix. Everyone is an infant living in an incubator, an artificial womb. Civilization is an artificial womb that protects us from ever being born into the natural world where we evolved. So no one in our society is ever really born. And we certainly are domesticated. We certainly do have arrested development. We are a very neotenous species. And this goes way back, millions of years. Our heads resemble the heads of a chimpanzee infant, not an adult. So we've become a neotenous species over millions of years, and civilization has caused us to become incredibly infantile, infantilized. And of course, all domesticated animals live under a totalitarian state which infantilizes them and feeds upon that infantilization. That's really what the Matrix is about. It's like, hey, escape from this infantilizing cult of exploitation. You are a slave. You know, all domesticated animals are a slave. If you're a dog living in a home with a family, you only exist to meet the emotional needs of that family. Your needs as a wolf are not being met. Whether that you're a cat or a fish or a bird or whatever the case, your need is to be wild and free. But those needs aren't being met. You live under a totalitarian state. In the Matrix, Morpheus asks Neo, do you believe in fate? And Neo responds, no, because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life. And in fact, he has absolutely zero control over his life because he lives in a totalitarian state. And he isn't even aware of reality. He's being so controlled. His mind is being so controlled that he doesn't have the slightest control over his own life. So we delude ourselves into believing that we're free. And that's the story that's been sold to us. That we live in a free country. And I'm not sure what freedom we have. Maybe to purchase things, which makes us consumers. And consumerism is the perfect form of slavery, where the slave doesn't know he's a slave. Then we get into Fight Club. The things you own end up owning you. Hit bottom. Give up everything in order to be free. But of course, if you do that, you're going to encounter a whole lot of pushback from the police, and from the court system, and from society in general. But the point of this video is all of these forms of superiority are just narcissism. Because deep down, what we truly are is hunter-gatherers. And hunter-gatherers don't have wealth. They don't have fashions. They don't have status. And they're just people surviving in the wilderness. They don't have fame, and they don't have people, importance, classism. So all of this is a symptom of narcissism. Civilization itself is a symptom of narcissism. So if all day long I see people at my job and everywhere else in society that believe themselves to be superior, and it's obvious that they think, I'm not even worth their time. They don't have to treat me with respect. They don't have to even treat me as a human being. I think that narcissists just see people as objects, because this gets into object relations theory, that they have not yet developed their minds, their brains, in order to see people as they truly are, as complex, sentient beings with feelings and lives and histories and motivations and dreams, and they just see people as NPCs, objects, and those people are just in their way. And it's severe mental illness, unfortunately. And when I look at the current political situation in 2025 with Trump, I see the collapse of a republic as a dictator begins to emerge, as the people begin to get behind a dictator in order to solve a crisis. This is what happens when republics end and dictatorship takes over. There's a crisis of some sort, economic crisis. In our case, yes, I think there is an economic crisis. Why do we even have homeless people if we're the richest country in the world? The rest of the world must be looking at us and saying, wow, there's serious problem there. If you have the most money in the world, why aren't you solving basic human needs? And that comes down to narcissism, that these people with the most money, these oligarchs, these billionaires, they need that money to feel secure. They need that money to feel superior. And they have no empathy for anyone else. And they got that money by exploiting workers, because that's the only way you can make a profit. And exploiting, consumers. And so it's just antisocial personality disorder, really. It's sociopathy, possibly psychopathy. And there's nothing to be proud of if you are wealthy, because you have no empathy, you have exploited people, and you would rather, just be superior than to solve the problems of society, which, by the way, you created by being selfish. So, if you're one of these people that judges other people, I don't say cuss words, so I'm superior. I don't, I don't fornicate or have promiscuous sex. I'm married and I'm faithful. Well, good for you, but that doesn't make you superior. And we equate wealth with godliness because money is the new God. It's really a religion of money. So you have wealth, well, congratulations. Money is your God. And sorry, but that doesn't make you better than other people. It just makes you a narcissist. And so what if your clothes are better than somebody else's clothes and they cost more and you have a bigger house and better car? It's just pathetic mental illness. So you're not superior, you're mentally ill. That's my point. Something to think about. See you in the next one.